It's gonna be a great night tonight.
We're gonna buy the kneecap off.
Do what it do.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Filthy Football Casuals podcast. I'm your co-host, Carl. We got John and Tom in the house. How's it going, boys? Franchise tags, done. Free agency,
Done.
around the corner.
I know.
That's
Combine, done.
right. Combine done.
In the books.
And I think this is going to be the season 2 finale for us. We're sticking with the League of the Year trend.
That's right.
Yeah. It'll be season 3 next week. But yeah, so we
Let's
got a huge one
go.
for you. I think John's very hyped. His clapping's not coming through, but yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, and we made it a minute, but yeah. So okay, a lot of things in the books, but what's your guys' favorite? Let me just go right off the bat: combine, free agency, franchise tags. None of the above.
Ever since the Le'Veon Bell franchise tag extravaganza, I've always found, like, watching how teams utilize the tag either as a negotiating tactic, as actually locking down the character for a year, for invested intentions. I don't know. So I find that to be just like a fascinating time, just to see like what teams are going to have the balls to pull the trigger and actually tag someone, and what is that going to end up causing the relations with the player and that team going in the future. So that's always a fun one for me to watch.
Yeah, the tags always creates some drama, and needlessly in some ways, I think, just because like we all know the tag, we all know that it's possible. Like, it's in the CBA. Like, why are we surprised when it happens? But
Yeah, almost whenever it's part of it's like just people that consume the league through their own teams and not like as a whole. And so it's no one on my team's gonna be tagged, so there's gonna be no problems. And then surprise, I think it was like 12 this year names, 10 names, quite a few.
Yeah, 9 tags. Yeah,
9 tags, and it seems like it's like that most years, where it's kind of, I don't know. But I think we talked about T. Higgins last week, but the rest of those names are kind of like, yeah, no surprise, makes sense. Brian Burns in there.
my birds, Josh Allen, the Jaguars, Josh Allen.
Yes.
I mean, while we're what thoughts on Pittman getting tagged?
I found that to be interesting.
I think that to me was the biggest surprise. Like,
I mean, he's the number one, isn't he? Like,
he is.
This is true, yeah.
Yeah.
But they've got plenty of cap space, I thought, in Indy. They're not under the bus for anything, are they?
And that's like kind of what my thinking was. It's like, I don't know why their team is in a. I'll have to call it my boy LP, former guest, and kind of get the rundown, because like I don't understand if he is. I mean, you're tagging him, right? You are setting his value at what you say he's worth, at least for a single season. And again, maybe it is to kind of negotiate in the future, or just to kind of buy them some time. But like, he's your guy. Like, what else do you have going on there in Indy, right? Like, just sign him. I don't get it.
They've got just shy of $50 million in cap space going into this season.
Jeez,
that's quite a bit, yeah.
And with the tag, that puts Pittman as their third highest paid player. So like, they're not spending a ton of money all over the place.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I wonder if it's like negotiations broke down and he's like, I want 100 mil, and they're like, no, dude, we can't do that. And that's how that's how it shook out.
It is crazy. A wide receiver tag, that tag is worth 21.8 mil.
Almost 22 million. Wow.
Yeah. So that's still steep, but
that's nuts.
Yeah, since we're talking receivers, Mike Evans got extended the other day, and I think it was 52 mil for 2 years, I wanted to say.
Yeah. Worth
Crazy.
it. Worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's unfortunately going to be like their transition kind of from this middle to wherever they end up. Poor guy.
I mean, he's still Mike Evans, right? Like he produces the same or better stats every single season, so it's hard to not reward that. He's old reliable,
Yeah. I guess I saw some of the rumors. It was like, oh, I want to go to a team with a good quarterback and get a ring. And it's like, yeah, you deserve it. And then it's like 2 days later, he just signs to stay in Tampa. It's like, oh,
He's got his ring. Yeah, he got his ring.
He's got his ring. What does he
Like,
care?
yeah, it's true. It's true.
As an NFL receiver, getting a ring with Tom Brady, like at least in the last 20 years, that has to be like, all right, I'm good.
You've made it. Yeah, you've done it.
You got to prove that it's all about Mike Evans and not Tom Brady, because now you can't separate them with one. But if Mike Evans can go do it again, clearly he's the difference.
He's gonna do it with Baker. Just look out.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I mean, unless we not talk about the fact that that's the same Super Bowl ring that is that the one AB got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
There are a lot of fan favorites that got a ring on the team. Like
Lenny.
Brady's just doing the Bucks a favor real quick.
Just doing the boys a solid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Oh yeah, Sue got a ring out of that. Thank you.
Sue got a
All
ring.
right.
That's right.
He got Yep. Just doing everybody, man.
Yeah, that
that's
team was
too funny.
full of ring chasers, but I mean, ultra talented either way. But
no, for sure. But no, I think that is good. That I mean, again, what? How old Evans is? 31, 32?
31, I believe. Yeah.
31? Yeah.
So he'll be dipping his toes in it. Oh, he's 30.
As of now, yeah.
He'll be 31 to start next season, I think. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So 33, he'll still have gas in the tank. He's going to cash in one more time.
If he's going to put up 1K again. He's going to put up 1K.
Yeah.
Like,
so everyone talks about the 300 carries for running backs. Like, what's that equivalent for receivers? Like, where it's just you're the workhorse so much that your body's going to get destroyed. And how many targets can he handle?
Right? I don't know.
100?
It's got, I think like 112. I would say like 120. Like what would be something wild? I don't know, like 1250 yards. Like you were the horse, right? That they saddled to.
Yeah.
Somewhat healthy Michael Thomas, yeah.
Yep. I mean, that checks out.
Yeah, no, I don't expect a lot of big drama from the franchise tags. I don't think anyone's thrown their arms up and complained about it just yet. Granted, it's early. The deadline was yesterday, right? So.
Yep.
True.
Yesterday at 4. I mean, sorry, I was going to say, do you think that there was any like one particular name stands out that everyone's been talking about? Running back Saquon Barkley not getting tagged. Do you guys see it? Everyone's calling him like the winner because he didn't get tagged, and I don't necessarily call him a winner because he didn't get tagged.
So he got tagged last year, if I recall. He did. But they ended up working out a contract extension before
the season
started. Yep. They added like $1 million on top of the franchise tag or something like that.
Exactly. So could they then tag him and not have to pay that 120% as if you're tagging him a second time because he extended it instead of signing the tag last year?
I think so.
I wonder.
I think you would be able to get away with that.
In that
didn't
sense,
sign
maybe
it, right?
Yeah, it's like if he was eligible for the second tag and that extra 20% bump, then I'd say like he probably wins that. But if he's not eligible for it and he would get just the base pay, maybe he doesn't win that. I'm kind of wondering if that's where that stuff's coming from.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but I do find it really interesting, the idea of like, I don't know what that tag amount would yield. It's got to be what? Probably similar to what it was last year, which was like 10 mil. I mean, is he going to go to another team and get like, a lot of the times I want to say like hitting free agency is better just to kind of hit that market. I do feel a little bad for Saquon because I think that the running back market in and of itself is just not going to yield what what he did for the Giants. Like, again, talking about being the workhorse, like they had nothing going on. He was 80% of their offensive production, and now he gets to go to free agency and I don't know, go to a team making $4 million a season or something. Like, obviously he's going to try and get more, but
yeah,
I don't.
In my mind, like the advantage is that you get a multi-year deal, so maybe he won't get 1 year 20 mil or whatever, but he'll still get 40 or 50 over 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. Barkley's still going to be a starter in this league, I think.
For sure, he should be.
No.
Yeah, the tag this year for running backs is just shy of 12 mil.
12 mil it's up to? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it would have been higher. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the second lowest tag price, right above special teamer tag, which is $6 million.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a special teamer tag.
That's so funny.
There is. So, like, if you were to tag, like, say, your place kicker or something, which I think we tried to do with Robbie Gold a couple years ago.
Who's the Patriots guy just retired? Slater?
Yeah.
Was there a long time? Yeah. But back to the running backs quick. That's something I wanted to ask you guys. Who do you think of the running backs hitting free agency is going to get the biggest deal? I mean, we got Barkley, we got Jacobs, we got Henry, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard. There's a lot of backs. And it's kind of like, if you're a running back needy team, who would you reach for of those players? Like, who would you give the biggest deal to?
Wow. I mean, Eckler probably. Maybe. I mean, he's proven to be that kind of multi-use back. Then again, Eckler's going to be 29 by the time the season starts, so maybe not.
I feel like if I do not have an offensive line, like if I don't feel like I've got a confident offensive line, I feel like you're able to utilize like a skill set like that Eckler or yeah, I guess Eckler and
well, you know who comes to mind? DeAndre Swift. I mean, he was a huge part of that Philly run game. He put up and he came in as a backup and ended up like taking over due to injury and still put up over 1,000 yards. He's only 25.
He's a beast.
Really? He's that young?
Yeah, he just turned 25 too, so he'd be 25 to start the season. So if you're going to sign someone to big money as a running back, he's probably the one to target. He's also like a multi-purpose back too. He's solid in the pass game, so he might be one to watch to make a splash.
That's a good thought. Yeah, because that's something that you can really build. I mean, again, I want to give like Saquon his credit, but I just feel like he's unfortunately, I just feel like those legs are just worn just from what he had to do for the Giants. And I mean, I would love him to be on a team. I don't want to say my team because I've got a first rounder just like sitting there who's been, I feel like our run game's kind of figured out. But with that, I want him. I still think his skill set is just he's just physically just very very impressive. I just don't think that I would saddle a huge contract. Again, huge in retrospect to what a running back can command versus like you could sign Swift to like and feel confident in signing him to this long term 4 or 5 year deal. Again with his age and then already kind of seeing what he's been able to do out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon just turned 27, so he's on the older side of that, but not. This 27 still plenty of gas in the tank, I think, for running back.
Tough because he's had a bajillion touches, like John said.
That's
he's got some mileage.
Yeah,
I think for me, honestly, that would probably be my pick. I think he's just got the ultimate combination of like the physicality, the vision, the pass game, receiving threat, screen game. Yeah, I think that's it. But Swift could be a fun one. Like, we got it on audio. It's official.
Do you think? Do you think some team tries to make a splash and picks up King Henry and pays him, let's say, $10 million for a season?
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep. He's going to be that rebuilding back that like they just bring him in for name recognition, just sell tickets. Like, yeah, we got Derrick Henry, he's a beast, and then it's like, yeah, your O-line sucks, and he's not.
Yeah.
So he's going to the Commanders, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. The man.
I mean, there's the Cardinals, there's the Falcons, there's options.
Yeah.
There's the
Falcons got Bijan. They don't need him.
True.
That's true. Especially with Kirk Cousins selling seats in Atlanta.
Broncos I can see, but they don't have any cap space. So.
Yeah.
They're about to eat $85 million in dead cap for tossing Russell Wilson.
God, yeah, that's wild.
Do we want to dissect that for a second?
Sure. We're gonna have to at some point. Might as well do it now.
I mean, again, I don't have the stats in front of me. Like I know that he was obviously he struggled in Denver, but I didn't realize it didn't dawn on me the compensation. So again, we can laugh about the $85 million in dead cap money. Just dead against your salary cap, right? Unfortunate. Lest we forget, okay, so not only you settled with that, they gave away 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks and 3 players.
Three decent players too.
I forgot about all that.
To be
Noah Fant, Trulock, and who was the other one they gave up? I forget the third.
It was like a D lineman, I thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically, you've traded away any draft capital that you might have to get a quarterback, to get that replacement. You had NFL players that are off your roster that you've had to replace, and now you're saddled with $85 million. I mean, I can't. I guess I can't. Like, this is not only like the worst like fleecing of a like I don't even know what you call this. Like, it's just like, how is anyone in that front office still employed right now? Right? Like, how do you?
I guess.
How do you make a mistake in the NFL to that magnitude? That to me is insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to like cut a guy to like, okay, we're gonna free up space on the roster so we can start to rebuild. But you're 85 mil in the hole. There's no rebuilding from that position. You're tanking this year. Like there's no like there's nothing you could do when a third of your cap is just dead. Is going into a player that's not even on your team. It's good luck.
Yep, insane.
Yeah. Look at the Saints and then all the cap games they try to play and where it gets them every year. You know, so they just keep trying to kick the can down the road. And I don't know. In one hand, I would say like, I'll just blame the pass regime and Hackett and all those guys, but they extended him.
Yeah,
Russ Wilson. So it's like, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, that was just incredible. I don't know. I was just shocked to see that like that was the best scenario they could come up with, is just eat it. Just like, I don't know.
Imagine playing for them this year now. Like,
no
voluntary workouts, by the way. You know, quarterback. Everybody, come on down.
Oh my god,
yeah, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I don't envy Sean Payton trying to make a comeback in that situation. Like he when he left New Orleans, their cap space and their roster is a bit in shambles, like no question. And he's traded down. You know, he's traded to a worse situation, and like it's a complete rebuild situation, effectively.
Yeah.
I don't envy that.
Should we go into the rest of the quarterbacks though? Kirk Cousins.
We can. Shall we?
Said he looked good in Atlanta. That's not a done deal though, is it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. That's
just gonna be him or Russ or.
I know a lot of the talking heads in Atlanta are kind of like, oh, like Kirk Cousins looking mighty fine over there.
Pretty good. Gonna cost a pretty penny.
I wonder I don't even know what Atlanta's cap situation is.
All right, let's see here. I'm just sorting by QBs who actually. I'm looking at. There's a lot of free agent QBs, but most of them not starting caliber, of course.
Okay. Cousins, Mayfield, Wilson, Minshew, Tannehill, Flacco. Yeah, that's kind of Mason Rudolph,
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah. I mean, Nate Peterman's still on there. You know, there's some real silly names if you want to go nuts. AJ McCarron, didn't even know he was still in the league.
I did not know he was still in the league.
Yeah.
I mean,
but kind of those like, like those top 4 to 5, I think, are the likely starters. Even Tannehill might be a weird one.
Tannehill and Flacco had the same exact amount of passing yards. Fascinating.
Oh. Wow.
Tannehill played 10 games. Flacco played 5. I mean, Baker. The assumption is that the Bucs are going to re-sign him, right? It seems likely, but
why would they not? I mean, some continuity with the receivers there. I don't know, not awful. I don't know. I think that's a smart move.
Unless they're in love with someone in the draft, I guess you never know with those types of teams. But I mean, obviously Mayfield's more than good enough. Unless like McVay and the Rams are looking to bring him back in for another run or something. Yeah, I can't imagine that's probably the most likely, I think, re-signing him and maybe Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins seems like a likely re-sign, but I could see the Vikings just moving on for him just because he's getting up there. They don't want to pay him, all that fun stuff. But I mean, they've got a decent, especially a decent offensive roster. It would seem like, so it'd be kind of a shame to waste more years on Justin Jefferson trying to find a QB to pass to him.
Yeah, I guess like if they're looking back at that contract, like, oh, we gave him his 45 mil guaranteed or whatever, and it didn't get us anywhere. But at the same time, it's kind of who else are you going to get? Are they going to be better? Do you really want to deal with a rookie?
Yeah,
and have them be a bust and lose Jeff and all, like you said, kind of watch that offense fall apart because they made the one wrong choice, or do you just pay the guy?
Right.
I'm definitely in the latter camp, but
I agree. And Cousins takes a lot of flack because he's not exciting, but he's a very good quarterback.
I think he's great.
Can't extend plays, but he can do everything else.
Right.
Like that's
he can execute an offense at a very high level, and he can feed Justin Jefferson and will all day long. So he's got very few negatives in my opinion. So
get him an O-line, so we don't have to watch the quarterback show and him getting his ass kicked over and over again.
Yeah. What about Minshew coming to Atlanta? The Minshew mania down in the ATL.
That'd be such an Atlanta move,
dude. I want that so bad. I want
Bring
nothing but success for him.
That would be really funny. I'd be down for it. I don't know. I think I would like to see I don't know, some type of quote unquote. I think the Atlanta fan base wants a high dollar quarterback. I think that's what they're clamoring for.
They had one in Matt Ryan. They got rid of him.
They did.
And they got their high value tight end, and they got their high value running back, and then time to go full circle.
It's time.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, they have the cap space and all that, so it's kind of one of those. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It says that they have a current estimated roll between the rollover dead cap and the adjusted salary cap. And the Falcons, with their top 51, will have approximately $41 million in cap space.
That's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah,
so
definitely work with that.
They could definitely make some kind of move if that's what they're feeling.
Let me ask you guys for your teams. Do you have like a wish list or maybe a number one player you think realistically that they could go out and get that would just make your day next Wednesday? Or are you guys done? Like you're just waiting for the draft and
we can't afford anybody, but if money's not an option.
I can't say realistically, but
yeah, realistically. Let me scroll all the way to the bottom of this. Some of these names here.
Some guy who hasn't been to camp in 2 years. I'm sure you could bring him in.
Yeah. Bring back Aziz Al-Shire for linebacker depth.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, speaking of linebacker depth, one of the names that kind of, I don't know, not super super sexy, but the linebacker that was let go out of Miami.
Van Ginkel?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Oh, Wilkins?
Yes, yeah. No. That's the DT. That's the tackle.
Oh, it's DT. You're right.
He's the DT. No, he's
Jerome Baker.
There we go, Baker.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
We got there.
I feel like so again, I didn't watch a whole lot of Miami, but I did see some. Right, one of the things that kind of stood out to me about that team was again just kind of like their speed, and I kind of liked what he was putting out as an inside linebacker. And given how we ended the season, I would kind of like to see like one of those. I feel like when we brought what we were able to bring into our linebacking core going into this season. Before, I mean, literally their legs blew off for Quan Alexander, Cole Holcomb. I was really, I feel like we have a good job of kind of evaluating, and if he does fit kind of what we need, I would like to bring in kind of like another. I think he's under 30. I think he's like 27. Could be wrong. But anyway, I would like to see at least a conversation about that gentleman in Pittsburgh. I think that would be cool and really allow us to try and focus on some other needed positions, O-line, corner, coming out of the draft. Is what I would like to see.
Yeah, I mean, no wrong answers. I think it's kind of just trying to set up the anticipation for next week. Got to build it up, and they're gonna sign. They're oh, so exciting!
Yeah, that would be. Now again, what's going to be exciting is because last offseason, the Steelers were more active than I have ever seen in free agency. So, and they were quick about it. So Omar Khan was quick to let guys go after the season, and I'm guessing he's going to be quick to bring in some folks to kind of fill in those gaps. So I would like to see at least kind of who we have to kind of make that happen. But again, we're not in the greatest of cap space to kind of make some really, nothing really flashy. Nor should we. I mean, we've got, especially on the defensive side of the ball, just tons and tons of just, these high caliber positions. And then our quarterback room is not going to really change because if it does, that means that our whole evaluation process has kind of failed. So while I would like to, see improvement out of Kenny Pickett, I mean, I don't think bringing in a Tannehill, bringing in a Russell Wilson, bringing in a Justin
Jimmy
Fields, see, I think Jimmy G's going to ask for too much money. But I would love Jimmy G to be that veteran presence there because we only have technically one quarterback on the roster right now. So because Mason Rudolph is set to hit free agency. So, yeah, I mean, man, give me a Jimmy G and I will be wearing his jersey day one. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
I'm here for it.
I'd love it.
Yeah, Niners don't have any cap space to play with. I don't even think we've made any moves to free up cap space yet either. Been busy looking for defensive coordinator. So, yeah, my wish list stayed the same of just bring back Juwan Jennings and let the rest kind of fall where it does.
Sure. I think they got that coordinator position figured out, though, on the systems and whatnot.
Yeah. So promoting Nick Sorensen, who was our defensive passing game coordinator and our DB's coach to defensive coordinator, which I'm fine with. It's another internal promotion, which is where we found the most success in the past. So that should work. And then bringing in Brandon Staley as the assistant head coach as well, which was Anthony Lynn's job previously. So Staley has a habit of replacing him, it seems. And then
knows Shanahan well.
Yeah. So
should be an okay fit.
Right, and then recently I think we brought in KJ Wright as a linebackers coach or consultant, as well as a quality control guy. So, just kind of bolstering up that defensive coaching staff.
It's his first gig after retiring, I think, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It's kind of fun to see those guys get their foot in the door and watch them kind of climb the ranks.
Yeah, so no complaints about that. We'll see how that shakes out in the season, of course. But I trust in Shanahan and Lynch to pick guys that are good for the job. So
yeah, I would hope so with your dedicated cat manager and all that front office you got going on there. I mean, it's been working. I'm not trying to talk too much shit, but yeah.
Carl, I'm sorry. I just feel like we've glossed over what you're feeling for Vegas. We didn't get to hear your wish list.
So it kind of goes, I think, to follow what I was talking about last week, where it's I think tackle, guard, center, and then DT are the huge spots that I see. So if you go to CBS.com and say free agents, number one right now, Chris Jones.
Yeah,
has not been signed. I think they're projecting him to sign his value according to over the caps $28 million a year average. The Raiders can't afford that.
No.
As fun as it would be to have a monster inside like that, I don't think it makes any sense where they're at. So it's kind of okay, going through I think a veteran tackle would be preferable to a rookie just because of how that learning curve and where the Raiders' offense is at. So but there's not a lot of good tackles either. Like Trent Brown's on there, at right tackle especially. They had him a few years ago. It'd be kind of funny to see him back. I don't think he's incredible, but might
He's
might be
massive.
a fun one.
He's hard to get around.
6'8"
is massive.
Yeah, he is a large man. He's not super old. I think he's only like 29.
He's 30.8, so he'll be 31 by the start of next season. Actually.
Okay.
In tackle years, that's not a big deal.
Yeah. So it's kind of that. So it's kind of, if one of those guys works out, interior O lineman probably easier to get from the draft. Although I have no idea what this class it looks like yet. And then apart from that,
I can just tell you that it's apparently pretty deep in linemen.
Oh, okay.
Folks
I've been hearing that.
Yeah. And again, I know Pittsburgh definitely has some. So a lot of the things that I kind of follow, seemingly a lot of pretty good players that are going to go deep into the second round is what they say.
So yeah, I'd definitely be cheering for that. Guess depends how things shake out next week. So just looking at DTs that are available, like Leonard Williams is going to be set to be free. 15 mil they're projecting. DJ Reader is on there as well. I think that's kind of it for bigger name DTs. But other of those guys I'd be pretty happy with. If they're projected, like it's like 14, 15-ish mil, I think they can afford that for a few years, kind of shore up the inside and then look to the draft to tool everything up. So maybe not the sexiest wish list, but I think it's fun just to pick out a few names and kind of see if my armchair GMing will come to fruition. It usually doesn't, but it's part of the fun.
I would like to see Leonard Williams if you could get him to fit in there. I know, not like, man, that would be cool. I don't know. I think he's a stud. He's getting a little older, but
yeah, he's getting up there. I don't know. It's almost like I see those names. Like I remember when he was drafted, and then it's kind of like, what's he been up to the last couple of years?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, on the Jets, he was killing it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I see a lot of older names up here. Like Linval Joseph still in the league. He's 35.
Damn.
Fletcher Cox at 33. He's gonna be free agent. I mean, on a 1-year flyer, I wouldn't hate a Fletcher Cox pickup. See what he's got left in the tank. If your interior situation's so bad, I mean, it could get much worse, right?
It's true, yeah. But I don't know. I feel like when you're a Fletcher Cox, like a bigger name up there in age, like you're probably looking for a better team than the Raiders.
Unless he's a Raiders fan, who knows?
Yeah, you never know. He just loves Las Vegas and gambling and all the fun that comes with that city.
What else we got here? I mean, I don't know if you guys saw today, but the Bills are making a lot of moves, tossing a lot of guys. Right.
So I have not seen it. Tell me about it.
All right, when did they start? They started just today. It looks like they released Saran Neal, safety. He's a backup safety, but he's got a lot of play time. Jordan Poyer released.
Oh, unfortunate.
Yeah. Mitch Morse, their starting center, released. Deontay Hardy, wide receiver, they released him.
Don't know him.
He was like a number 3 role player kind of guy. Did a lot of special teams, but they're saving $4 million cap space by getting rid of him.
And the big one.
Yeah. Releasing Naheem Hines.
Not the big one.
Not the big one. Nope, they're still going. And releasing Trey White as a post June 1st release.
That's a big sad.
Yeah. I mean, he's had trouble with health the last few years with ACL and Achilles this past season. He never really fully recovered from his ACL. Never really got back to form, so I kind of understand. And the Bills did pick up Rasul Douglas in a trade, and he played really well, I think, down the stretch. And they restructured him as well to free up some cap space, adding void years and moving money around. But yeah, Bills cutting bait to free up some space.
It's a lot of activity before free agency. So
yeah,
They restructured Von Miller as well, converting $7 million of 2024 salary into a signing bonus and $8.6 million more into incentives, freeing up about $8 million cap space. So yeah, Bill's making moves.
I feel like it's kind of funny. John, you mentioned how like Omar Khan tends to make his moves straight away. Doesn't leave people wondering, compared to a lot of teams that kind of don't make moves until you have to. Wait for the deadline and wait to see what other teams are doing, kind of finalize your plans. Like, don't show your hand before you need to. But two different approaches. I thought it was kind of fun how they do that.
yeah.
But I wanted to ask about that secondary. Tom, do you think? I don't know. How do you feel about all these moves? Like, is it a net positive? Is it like obviously? I think it's a little sad to see some fan favorite names get released, but
Well, some more Bills news. They haven't stopped while we're recording.
oh Jesus!
They signed Mitch Trubisky, bringing him back to Buffalo.
What?
Wow!
Yeah.
What?
And
Big Mitch.
Breaking news.
yeah, they extend safety Taylor Rapp to a 3-year contract extension with Buffalo. So that kind of answers your question a little bit, Carl. Yeah, losing Trey White sucks. Like, obviously, when he's at the top of his game, he's one of the best in the league, but he hasn't been able to get back there due to injury and recovering from injury and all that stuff. Poyer, huge presence on that team. I know there's had some contract disputes with him over the last couple of years, but he's clearly lost his step a bit, at least this last season. He's on the older side, and there's been talk in Buffalo of like needing to replace him and Micah Hyde sooner, like find their replacements because they are getting older, and yes, they're good, but they're going to fall off eventually. It kind of started already for Poyer, as much as I love the guy, but I think that was Taylor Rapp perhaps is that replacement, it seems. Micah Hyde still there we go, Carl. Micah Hyde still seems to be all right. He's also had some injury stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move there too. But Rasul Douglas has been a nice pickup, and we'll see where they go with that as far as a replacement for Trey White. I don't know if he has the same ceiling as Trey, but still a very good player. Yeah, I mean, their secondary, they've been able to cobble together and make work for the most part, honestly. Their biggest issue, Bills' defense biggest issue was staying healthy at linebacker this past season, which was, as you know, John, a really hard thing to do. Like, there's only so far you can stretch that.
Yep. That's wild. Again, kind of. I wonder if cutting bait with Mitch so early, because again he was slated to play with Pittsburgh this season. Like, they cut him the day after the Super Bowl, and gave him, and I guess him and his agents, the time to have those communications. And look at that, before free agency kicks off, he is signed and locked up back to his old stomping grounds.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, him playing in Buffalo was a big reason that the Steelers went after him. Like, oh, well, got to sit behind Josh Allen, maybe learn a few things, and well, I don't think they really did much.
He did not. He didn't learn anything, as we saw. But that's okay. I mean, again, I am not upset about the pick of us having him for paying him what we did. I think that was a fine idea, and that's why you take. I don't call it a flyer, because I mean he's kind of expensive. He cost us like 10 mil, but again 10 mil if he was your starter,
sure,
then you're feeling great.
Yeah, 10 mil backup's a lot.
Yeah, as a backup role, and then when he comes in as a backup role and he put on the performance that he did, which was just not quite adequate, you get what you get. So I wish him the best.
He's a true journeyman backup. Runs the scout team. He's good at all the little things. He's funny in the quarterback room, I'm sure. More to it than playing on the field sometimes.
Yeah, and anyone who knows anything about Buffalo, the least important position on that team is backup quarterback, because if Josh Allen gets injured, the team's done. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care who you've got out there. That team runs through Josh Allen. He creates the wins. That's it.
Yeah. The ballad quote: "Allen goes down, the team is fucked, and we don't practice fucked."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Love it.
Yeah.
So just kind of, I don't know if we had anything else. I did kind of want to talk, as we're talking about kind of like Mitch and again, kind of, leading into, these moves that are made before the draft coming up. Carl did present us a nice little graph about kind of where the rise and fall of draft capital that's spent on each position over a season. And I thought that was kind of a really interesting trend to kind of see where folks are kind of hoping that, where stuff is going to, where the value is. And I think it's kind of interesting to watch. So, or to kind of look at. And so just at a glance, a couple things. Wide receiver, up in value since 2012. Running back, obviously, value is tanked. Tight end value increasing. Cornerback value skyrocketing. Edge players not undervalued. Safety undervalued. Guards dropping in value. Tackles kind of waning, elevated over that course of time. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on where people are kind of putting value from the draft into these positions, as with free agency coming up, and then with that draft to kind of fill in any additional holes, where the current state of the NFL is saying that the value of these draft picks lies?
I do just want to say, from looking at these graphs, it is funny how the value of linebackers is like a straight line, like the straight line through. It has not changed off of average or above average. Like, it's like the value of linebackers is a known quantity.
If you look at the plots too, like it's swung back and forth a ton, but it averages out perfectly.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. No, I think I first wanted to shout out Ted Seth. He does some awesome stuff on Twitter. I found the link, but he's the one that put it all together and tweeted it out. Him and Sumer Sports. Yeah, if anyone's listening, definitely take a look at their work. I think for the most part, it's not too surprising because like all the trends are like edges of the field where the players have space, receivers, edge rushers, cornerbacks. That's kind of where the ball moves or doesn't. That's where you got to stop it. And whereas like, linebackers, safeties, DTs usually pretty undervalued. But I'm surprised edge rushers and DTs have kind of been flipping that script the last, 5-6 years on average. I would have sworn, like, I know DTs are becoming more and more popular, especially in the pass rush. You got Donald and Chris Jones and all those guys. But I didn't think it would really necessitate an uptick in the draft. Everyone's trying to find like those next big 3-techs and trying to find those guys that can set everything. So
sure.
I thought that was pretty cool to look at.
I mean, again, with the I don't know, I don't even want to say the emergence. The evident increase in kind of where we're going, like with the passing game. I find that to be interesting. Where like you're looking at wide receivers, you're looking at tight ends, and then how do you counter that? The value of cornerbacks just going through the roof, baby, like just way up there. But what are your guys' thoughts on something that I thought? And again, this is coming from a team who did draft a first round. I'm sorry, well, the 32nd pick. It was technically the top of the second round. A rookie corner who came in and has now become our number one corner. With the physical demands of a cornerback, do you guys think that, again, just being able to rely on age and just physicality, you could see that through the combine or other things that make you feel confident that when you draft a high ranking cornerback, that it's pretty easy to get them on the field to get the production that you're looking for kind of in your secondary?
We're talking about like scouting basically, right? And like trying to project and
yeah, I mean that's kind of sort. I mean that's I'm hinting at it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Tom, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, I think cornerback might be one of the hardest positions to play, like on the field, period. Like outside of maybe quarterback, like cornerback might be one of the hardest to play, and it's a unique combination of, like, I think you have to be one of the best athletes on your team to be a very good cornerback, but
Definitely.
you also have to know the game just as well as like any other position at the same time, because positioning is everything too. So I think evaluating like draft position for a quarterback becomes incredibly difficult, especially when you like factor in the physicality of it, because these guys aren't playing against like NFL caliber like athletes like all throughout college, so it's really hard to assess, right? Like, yeah, they're out there beating the brakes off of these college athletes, but is that going to translate when they go up against Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
Probably not most of the time. So it's I think it's a hard position to evaluate. So I'm not surprised that there's a lot of value put in them, like in drafting quarterbacks, because it's almost like just trying to like hit on something and just trying to like overspend to make sure that at least one of them gets it.
I think that's exactly it, because I think like from a schematic point of view, there's nothing more valuable to a defense than a corner who can just lock down whoever's opposite him. You have to think about it. There's no roll and help. There's no, if it's 3-by-1, 2-by, just lock them down, get the help to the other side of the field. That just makes things so easy. So I'm not surprised that teams are constantly trying to find that guy and willing to gamble and spend a little bit. But, and like you're saying, I agree with both of you. They're trying to project that position. Like, I took a scouting class, like an 8-week class. I got my reports evaluated by former NFL pros, like the whole 9 yards, because I want to learn how it worked. And cornerbacks, man, all of that, I got credit. I passed it. I still don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea how those people try to honestly look at college film and be like, okay, yeah, his hips flip a little bit faster than some of the other guys, and I think they'll translate to his ability to. It's like, man, it's impossible. It's insane. I don't know how those guys do it, or they just lie through their teeth, or I don't know what the deal is. But yeah, seeing a million, because I wouldn't be. The Raiders have done it certainly over the years. DJ Hayden, some of those guys, like everyone's looking for that lockdown corner, and I don't think anyone knows they're going to get them. But man, if you can find them. Look at Snead in the Super Bowl. Like the value those guys have is insane. If you can get them there,
for sure.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of like the mentality behind how to draft a cornerback is the same as you see in a lot of quarterbacks. Like, oh, just give me the most athletic freak of a player and hope the mental game just works itself out, and I've got the athletic freak.
That's the Al Davis approach.
Yeah, like
teach him the game. You can't teach speed.
Right. So
it's true.
I don't think that works very well anymore. But yeah, there's definitely, you still see some people reach for those guys. They're just like 6'3", runs insanely fast, agile. Like we got to have him. He's got to be our guy.
But how many times do you watch a quarterback that's just wildly out of position like all the time, or just not paying like attention, or way too aggressive on shit that he doesn't need to be, and like just blowing plays just because he's a physical freak and that's all he knows. Like,
too common. Yeah, this reminds me of the post like Legion of Boom years when everyone's trying to like, oh yeah, we got all our corners got to be over 6 foot and got the longest arms in the world and got to be like 220 pounds, and then we're just gonna bully teams to death. And it turns out you can't just copy their physical properties and win the game. But yeah, that's a good question. It's a good point.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that in recent years the priority of guard, or value of guard, has gone down while DTs has gone up. So it's almost like you see that trend, like, oh, like guards are just not where people are focusing. So we're gonna focus on that DT, that interior position, and we're gonna attack that. So it is interesting to watch.
Yeah, expect the kind of like opposite position groups to mirror each other.
Right.
So I wondered, so he's got another, I don't know, tweet below that, I don't know if you saw it or not, but he's talking about how offense and defense in general and through the draft has kind of swung back and forth.
Yeah.
So he's saying like the last few years have been offense heavy. Before that, it was very defense heavy, and saying if this is cyclical, then the pendulum's looking like it's probably set to swing back again towards defense this draft. But that's not what you were saying, John. You said a lot of O-linemen, sounds like.
Well, I mean, that's from a depth perspective. There seems to be a lot of NFL caliber, or potentially NFL caliber offensive linemen that are going to be in this draft, so that you can get hopefully some good value in those picks. Again, another great question, maybe for our friend Dave when he's able to get back on. But I wonder if because again in that particular graph, like guard is low, very very low value. Like it has tanked. I'm curious if, I wonder, and again I don't have anything right like in front of me. Like I wonder if, because one of the things that stands out to me is And again, I don't know what the changes between what the percentages between a quarterback being under center versus taking a shotgun pass. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more shotgun pass, and I'm not sure if there's numbers to correlate with that. I'm just kind of hypothetically going where
I mean, your top
because
offenses like the Chiefs and the Bills utilize it a ton. So that's
and so with that, you snap the ball, and now your center is available to kind of help out those guards against that DT that's a monster, right? So I could potentially maybe see like a guard being, I guess, undervalued in the draft because as the game is kind of changing, like you have more flexibility out of what you can do with that center. Potentially, again, I'm trying to justify a line that I'm looking at in a graph right now,
Yeah.
and just trying to put some reasoning behind it. But because center has stayed a flat line in this particular graph, so their value is basically again another known quantity. With guards dropping in that, the only thing that stands out to me is that they're able to make up that production in terms of having a quote unquote like a quality guard by knowing that you can make changes in your offense to try and have that center help out with that that big defensive tackle, that three tackle, or depending on where he lines up. A thought.
That's definitely a good one. That's something I hadn't considered. I was trying to think about like the run game and like maybe the rise of some of this power stuff and Shanahan's doing, and like the decline of maybe the stretch zone plays that McVay is known for. But I don't think any of that adds up as much. But the whole, so tell me, I'm not super familiar when you're delivering a snap under center. I mean, is your hand stuck back there for like 2 seconds? Is that why you're saying there's such a huge difference compared to shotgun when you can just yeet it and get on to where you got to go?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a huge. I guess for me the idea is at least when I played it, I certainly felt that when I would get that ball snapped off, I was in like a shotgun pass, just having the idea of knowing that because you can't when your head is down, right? Like there's certain rules like you've got to get your head snapped up, before you can get like slapped down and things like that. So what stands out to me is the fact that I am able to it is quicker for me to kind of get that ball just thrown out and from my position in that excuse me, kind of in that shotgun snap, and then I can kind of fire out to wherever I need to go. Versus when I had a quarterback under center, and kind of the position that I was in, because that ball it's not I'm handing it to someone, right? And it's not I am not using the force of me throwing it behind me. So all of a sudden for me it was my right arm. Like my right arm, I've got to snap my head up and my hand is between my legs and I'm kind of like engaging a guy with my left arm from there. So now again I was quick enough because I was a smaller center, where I was quick enough where that wasn't kind of a huge deal for me. But if I was against like a real strong defensive tackle, I'm having a rough day, because I just don't have I was not big enough to be able to kind of handle someone just lining up right over right in front of me, and then I've just got to try and get my other arm to kind of match to get underneath and try and get leverage and things like that. So again, I don't know if there is kind of a correlation. That's just one thing that kind of like stood out to me, is because there would be times when I would have not necessarily the speed that it takes that ball to get out, but where the defensive linemen line up, where you may not necessarily have guys that are going to be lining in those A gaps, right? They may decide to kind of line up in B, or just depending on with their maybe not being as much of a threat to run the ball up there. So I would see myself a lot of the times when I did snap it in shotgun, I didn't have a guy over me, which means once that ball's out, I can help out either the guard to my left or my right. So I mean, a couple things to potentially consider. I don't know.
Yeah. So to all that, one thought I had, I think we talked about this a bit in the Super Bowl preview, was teams maybe doing this like one good player on each side of the line, like one kind of anchors, like left tackle is what most teams do, and then maybe like right guard. So that way he can be your guy, like your good puller if you're going to run, or he's also you can slide either way. Like just having that help available, like you say, I wonder. I mean, that's a good thought. I think there's probably something to that. I would agree, at least after 3 minutes of thinking.
Right. All right, so we've covered. Let me see. We went through some of what potential draft values, franchise tags, current free agent wants, who's available out there.
I'm ready.
I think we're ready to kind of kick this off into season 3.
Season 3. Bring in some new names, get some hype.
You want to touch on the combine at all?
That did happen.
It did happen. It was a thing.
It did happen. Okay, so I'll be honest. I will say that the combine is a fun talking point, and I do not buy into any of the numbers that come out of it.
No,
right, and nobody does, right? I'm sorry. Maybe some people do.
I'm sure people do. No, I think the only hype, the only thing I've seen is that somebody broke the 40 record.
Right. Which shout out to Xavier Worthy. Congrats. That might be the most famous thing you're known for, because that is almost always the case outside of CJ2K.
Is he a back? Is he a DB?
He's a wide receiver.
Okay. Is he going to get drafted?
What's his draft grade here? Let's see here. It's probably shot up on ESPN's deal. NFL labels him as
guys there competing against each other.
NFL labels him as good backup with potential to develop into starter.
Oh, he'll get drafted then.
Yeah, but he's fast.
Yeah, athleticism score 98. He's ranked first, obviously.
Got his RAS score.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. We don't need that.
He's 5'11", 165 pounds. He's a little guy.
Yeah, can't be breaking records when you're 200 pounds.
Well, Usain Bolt did it.
Yeah, I was literally going to say it. That's 100 meter. That's different, okay? That's a lot further.
Yep, you are correct.
Anything catch your eye, Tom, from the combine? Or?
I mean, nothing in particular. It's one of those things I don't pay attention to. I mean, it's such a, like, not to, like, shit on it, but, like, it's such an excuse for all the talking heads to get overhyped about random dudes you've never even heard of until, like, oh, man, did you... Like, there's some quarterback that I haven't heard of, and he's like, oh, he threw, like, a 75-yard bomb. Did you see that? It's like, yeah, but, like, come on. Like, that doesn't mean anything about his ability to play quarterback to stationary, no pass rush, like, in tights, throw a 75-yard bomb to some schmuck. Like, that doesn't mean anything. But everyone's, like, gets all hyped about it. It's like, oh, he's going to go in the first round now. It's like, okay, well, maybe he will, but...
There's a whole generation of kids who didn't see Jamarcus Russell play. So it's just another lesson we're going to have to learn all over again.
That's right.
Yep.
Carl, you did share something from Ted Seth about, like, which I kind of looked at just to kind of see. It's like combine info to, like, production correlation.
It was the drills, right?
Yeah. Well, the top 3 for wide receiver production that correlates. Age, obviously not something they measure in the combine, but age was number 1, followed by vertical and bench. So going by those, 21-year-old Jalen Coker had the best vertical wide receiver. So
not the 3-cone, not the box, none of the running drills. Vertical and the bench.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
He didn't do bench. I don't know what his bench was. But then another guy who had a similar vertical had 19 reps, which led receivers. So Malik Washington out of Virginia. We'll see if anyone picks him up. He's only 5'8.5". Holy cats! Yeah, no one's gonna draft him. 5'8.5" receiver. He's good size though. 191 at 5'8.5". He's a wide back.
There you go. Pick him up.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock into this stuff either, but it is kind of just fun to see, like, freak athletes do freak athlete stuff, like, in a controlled environment.
Yeah, it's kind of catch the highlights, read the headlines, but yeah, I'm definitely not tuned in 3 hours a day every day.
I mean, two things that kind of stood out to me. There was only one tight end that did the bench. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That seems like a tight end like dream, right? That's
right. Yeah.
Someone who does a lot of run blocking. Yeah.
It was Tip Ryman from Illinois who put up 28 reps. Very respectable, actually.
That's
Damn.
really good.
He knows what he wants to be drafted as. And then the other thing I wanted to kind of quickly just touch on is, have you guys followed the Caleb Williams story from the combine?
No.
So what was really interesting is that he went to the draft, but he refused to sign any medical documentation. So they could not. He opted out to do any of the medical exams.
Interesting.
And so
did he work out and do like all the normal drills and shit?
He didn't do any drills.
He didn't do anything.
Okay. Oh.
He showed up to talk to people.
That's it. Oh. Yeah, he just showed up to interview, and I think he said specifically, "I'm only interviewing with certain teams. I'm not even going to talk to you if you're not capable of drafting me."
Oh, see, that's interesting. I
think he said something like that too. Like, yeah, I'm only going to talk to teams that are even in position to actually draft me, which I guess I understand. But so he's not going to be talking to the 49ers, but whatever.
Whatever. I guess like the thought behind it is that he wants to save. He doesn't want his medical information out to all 32 teams because, like you're saying, like they're not going to get the ability to draft him anyway.
Oh,
so he's only going to work like do medical exams. Like I guess like at his pro day, or I'm not quite sure, or like with the individual teams that he's going to meet with.
Yeah, he like do workouts right with one-on-ones.
Yeah.
For the draft,
So that's I guess when he's claiming that he will give those records available to those teams and to
that's awesome. Else. I love it.
So I thought I'm like, and apparently he doesn't even have an agent. He's just him and his family are like, you know what? Nah. So
I mean, you got to know at this point, like you're going super high, like you get to play these games, so why wouldn't you?
And I think that's kind of a fun one. So
yeah, I love it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm all for like be confident in yourself and all this fun stuff, but there's a limit to that, especially when you're trying to be a quarterback in an NFL team. We've seen so many times where the ego is just too big for too big for it. Like, look at friggin' Johnny Football. He was like the same way. Like, not that I'm saying Caleb Williams is going to be another
Manziel,
but rarely does it work out in their favor, especially at the QB position when you're just all ego. I don't think you can be as a QB.
It feels like a calculated risk in my mind, but
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think one of the things that kind of steps talking about like those medical records is when JPP blew his hand off and like the pictures ended up getting leaked out, right? Like, and so I don't know. Maybe there's like I don't know what could be in his medical records.
His hands are too small. He doesn't want that info out there. He's got those Joe Burrow hands.
Yeah, the hands too small disease. He doesn't want anyone to know. But anyway, yeah, I don't know.
He's pissing hot. Who knows?
Just a fun story to watch.
Yeah, that's probably the best story I've seen from the combine.
Yeah. Has there ever been like a player like that, like tested for PEDs before he's even drafted?
Tunsil. I don't think he tested, but
he got caught smoking weed. That's different.
Well, not necessarily caught. He had a video broadcast. But... What did he posted himself?
Yeah. It was his cousin or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The uncle. Yeah. No, I have no idea. Do they even test people at the combine, or does that start with the regular season?
I don't know, because they're not part of the PA, right? Until they get drafted.
Nope.
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't know what rules they're subject to, if any.
We'll have to get our research team on that. Find out next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps everything up. Getting ready to free agency, wide open. You've now been educated on what's going on with the combine, with free agents, with the franchise tag, and we are ready to kick it into the new season.
That's right. Next week we'll probably be recording while some free agent signings are happening, so that should.
No doubt.
Oh,
the whole time. Yeah, I can't wait
to be open.
Yep. Looking forward to
great.
it. I hope all you listeners, you sign your favorite guys, apart from Chris Jones. And I think we'll catch you all next week.
We'll see ya.
See ya.
Yep. See ya.
And we are